Vital's B Practice podcast is proudly sponsored by Maxis, BergTech, and Industry 9.
What up, everybody? This is Vital's B Practice podcast.
Yeah, we'll let you rip the intro.
No, I can't, but I just wanted to say that everybody calls it the B zone, B. They always have a different name. Like, they don't even know the name. It's kind of crazy. They don't understand. I feel like, no, they always call it the like B zone or B. I'm like, I think we need to explain the reason of the name this week.
You want to open this podcast right now with explaining why it's called the B Practice podcast?
I'm just trying to say it's not the B Zone podcast. Be this, be that, be. It's the B Practice podcast. It's presented by Maxis, BergTech, and Industry 9. This is our host, Dakota Norton, and followed with our other host, Jason Schroeder, and we got Tanner, and the band's back together. And it's the B Practice podcast because we all used to have to wake up at 8 o'clock in the morning to ride B Practice.
6:30.
Be on track at 8 a.m. at Lord's when you actually can't feel your fingers. You cannot see the first rock garden from the starting gate.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
there is still B Practice, correct?
Yeah, but people don't race World Cups. So they don't know why it's the B Practice podcast.
We have explained it before, but it's been a while. It's a decent name.
It's a great name.
It's one of my highlights of my career so far. Naming our shitty podcast. Just kidding. It's not shitty. Everybody, so many people listen to this. It's crazy how much money we make from this podcast.
Just rolling in it.
We make money from this podcast.
We're buying Airbnbs, car haulers, yachts in Tennessee.
Mm-hmm.
We're doing it big.
I'm pretty much putting an irrigation system in for my dirt bike track. I mean, I'm big money. I got it on a timer.
We call it the B Practice irrigation system. What we need is stickers. You know,
we need
branding
stickers. How can we get T-shirts? Oh, I thought this morning I went to. I don't have it on his spot. I had my Vital T-shirt on, and then I was like, I don't know where it went. I got in the shower
with it on.
I had it on this morning. Now I've changed.
It's okay. Yeah, I really do want to make stickers. And then I just of the list of things to do, it's unfortunately pretty far down the list. Making stickers.
Right behind, did I brush my teeth this morning? Should I have another coffee?
Mm-hmm.
Do I have coffee for tomorrow? Do I need to order some on Amazon because I'm about to run out?
Getting coffee is important.
Oh, shit. I'm hungry. There's no lunch in the refrigerator. What do I do now?
Yeah,
I'm going to make some stickers.
Make stickers. It's all in the lunch category.
Yeah. Making stickers would be good. I mean, so would making shirts and shit. And,
we've got shirts. We don't have them to the public.
Yeah.
It's also kind of cool.
They haven't made them that far.
Keep building the hype. Get a few more years in. Right when this podcast is starting to fade, people are losing interest, like Dak's accomplished all he can. Wow. They're maybe not as tuned into how your weekend's going,
Dak's got 10 more second places.
Wow.
Yeah. You've got 15 seconds, one first, half the world class field right now. Everybody's got one win, It's tough to come by
I don't even have one.
But you will.
Maybe a couple more U.S. Open wins. Those are the ones that pay. So that's
I hook in America. If I could just hook like I hook in America in Europe. But every time I hook in Europe like I hook in America, I do good.
I like this style phrasing.
Yeah.
Well, let's use that to talk about why you weren't hooking in Loudenvielle.
What do you want to know about it?
Turns off camera. I mean, let's start with we chatted about Worlds. Everybody knows how your Worlds went, but you go right back into a race, so you have immediate opportunity to take that motivation, apply it to another round, and a round you did well at last year. We chatted about this in the last podcast. there's good energy around the weekend, but then you show up and it's like pissing rain the first day, then it dries out, and
Well, and then they
schedule
cancel half the practice. They cancel all the practice. I do 2 runs the first day.
So just take us through from day one to race day, like how all those changes affected things, and give people a rundown on what it was like to be a part of that.
Yeah, it was really hard. Well, the thing is, you have this, like, as a World Cup downhill racer, you've perfected. We've talked earlier about, I've raced for 9 years now, 8 years, 8 full seasons, and through these 8 full seasons, you've refined your process, right? So you have your first day of practice, you prepare for the qualifying, and then you prepare for your race run, and that whole, like, how fast you build speed is like a refined process. So then you go to Loudenvielle, you do 2 runs of practice, then they cancel practice. You get an extra half an hour, but you still only get 3 runs, and then you qualify. You got to force yourself up to speed after no time training, no like kind of justification of speed and lines, and then it's race day, and then it pisses rain. So I didn't do a very good job at just like we look at Worlds, and the second day we're 7 runs of practice in, and Pinky goes and qualifies second. The kid is up to speed in practice almost immediately. So he gets up to speed very fast, but then struggled to build past that speed for the race run, where I usually arrive at the speed I need to at the end of the weekend at the race run. So like I tried to force the speed up for qualifying in Loudenvielle, made a mistake, and then I all around missed the mark on race day. There's a variety of excuses why I didn't perform, but I didn't perform. So stayed on dry tires, should have went to wet screams. I had my cleats super loose, or my pedal spacers, so like a lot of spacers under my pedals from riding in the mud because my pedals were packing with mud. Blowing my feet out of the pedals, had a GoPro, roll off, visor extender, everything ready for the rain, and then I get out of the tent and it's not raining, and then my helmet's falling over my eyes in every corner, and I'm like, it was a disaster. But I mean, some dudes performed. Some dudes forced the speed and performed. I did not.
Did we learn some stuff this weekend or what?
Hey, if you're not winning, you're learning. That's the Fox suspension. That's their deal, right? They put it on the side of the hat. But man, yeah, I mean, I learned a lot, but I also learned I sucked. Well, more than anything.
So you do all these things to prep as things are changing, right? Whether it's the visor, the cleats. Like, I don't know, how do you make the decision on when, like, it sounds like a lot of those things, you made those choices to hopefully be the most prepared, and then hindsight, you're like, they kind of screwed me in different ways.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like the other option is you don't make those changes, and then you're like, you're in your run. I mean, I guess besides the tire one, which that definitely sounds like a bit of a miss and a bummer, but like all those other things, it just seems like the normal thing you would do, and you're in gnarly conditions that are different than normal, so you have to compromise somewhere. Like, sure, it's like the goggles falling down thing. I remember that with roll-offs. Like, roll-offs are so much heavier than you kind of remember because you don't run them very often.
They sit, the ones that you run sit further off your face.
Yeah, and yeah, I don't know, it's I feel like that is just sort of racing, is like kind of overcoming those, like, in the moment, like, things are changing, we got to do it. But like, I think this weekend sounds exceptionally hard because, like you're saying, your time was limited on track, like, plus every time you're on track, I bet it looked way different. Like, that also seems really tough. And yeah, some people, I mean, you can't argue that some riders live in that terrain so much or have grown up in it, and it's probably a lot less of a shock to the system for a number of people that were out there.
Yeah, just the amount of dirt. Like I said, I say this all the time, and people discredit it, and it's really frustrating. But we don't have anything like that here. Like maybe on the island in Canada, maybe like Revelstoke, maybe somewhere up in Canada. But in America, in some place that I can drive my van to in 10 hours, tell me where I can go ride dirt like that, because I don't think it exists. Like, it's so gnarly to ride that grade, that speed, in those conditions. We just don't ride it. Like, I'm at the point where I'm like looking at moving to Andorra for half the year, because we can't, I don't feel like I can be competitive here. And you see that, like, not to use, like, obviously Asa's ripping at the moment, but like, look at Asa. Luca, we were 17 and 18 on the same tires. We ran the same tire in the race run. We're from the same place. He has Pisgah National Forest. He rides trail bikes in a bit, but there's no, maybe they have black dirt, but we don't have any black dirt. We don't have roots. We don't have it. And we were, like, you see it, and we're 17 and 18 in the final. I mean, maybe he had other issues or whatever, but it's like, it's hard. It's really hard. If you're from France, I feel like it's a whole different story.
It is a real interesting one.
This is why I go live over there in the summer as much as I can, because it's just so difficult. Like, if you've grown up in these conditions, like, Finn rips in the mud, like, rides like it's dry, and it blows my mind. He's so good at it. I mean, I've rode behind him in the summer when it's like slippery, and it's just like, I can't even, maybe his head is calibrated differently than mine, but it's just scary.
I mean, yeah, like Reece Wilson, it's like the stuff that he does is just, it shouldn't work.
Yeah. And I feel like that's a big thing from the weekend, is like cutting the practice back. I get it, whatever. But you're keeping, I feel, with how the track was this weekend, and obviously there's a lot of buzz around the track being difficult at separating riders compared to like Andorra, where it was just like, how much are you willing to risk and how fast are you willing to go? And the track was very simple, and just who is going the fastest. You're keeping world-class riders from being world-class, I think, when you limit how gnarly the track gets, when you limit, how technical the track is. And we've seen a lot of dudes shine that for me personally, I wasn't able to shine in those conditions.
Do you,
sorry if that's a lot of thoughts.
No, I was getting ready to pull up some roots and rain. So
it's like nine whoops in Supercross. It's like,
is that what we're going to?
Yeah. I always use this.
So do you think that last year's schedule with the juniors racing on it would have been the day before? Do you think that would have helped it?
I just think, no, not necessarily.
Like having them start a day earlier in practice, and then
I think you let practice happen, you let the track get nasty, and you race. I mean,
yeah,
whatever the conditions are. But we've raced in the rain all year. Like, how many we had, every dry race we've had, I've done really well at. And
dude, I mean, I'm
struggling in the mud.
There was at least 3 races that have been affected by rain on race day, but I would say most rounds there's been weather throughout, so it's been changing.
Yeah, which has been normal for World Cup racing for years now. And yeah, because it's, if you're like a smart racer, you're gonna adapt with the conditions as they're coming. And if you just don't know what the conditions are because you don't have the practice time, then it's like, how are you supposed to race in pouring rain and go as fast as possible and put it on a good show if you didn't practice in that at all because they canceled practice when it started pouring rain?
Yeah, it's a weird one. It's like I understand their reasoning, but then exactly that, like, how are you supposed to, I don't like them canceling or shortening practice or whatever exactly they did had to do with deteriorating or not letting the track deteriorate as much. But I'm like, well, what's that goal? Is that so that then the track is safer to ride? But then if people don't get to ride it as it changes, is that not dangerous also? And I don't know. Yeah, it's did they actually change or work on the track after that first day when it sounded like they were starting to get stressed that it was going away? Did they go fix anything that had blown out?
They put a bridge over the last double and worked on, like, I think 2 corners. But not really, no. Not, I mean, the track looked, I thought they would.
Yeah. And not that they should have. I was just curious because that seemed like kind of their reasoning for all of that.
Regardless, whatever you can't really, they're going to do what they want to do. Like, whatever they think the best decision is what they're going to do. Sometimes they make good decisions. Sometimes they make bad decisions. But the reality is, it's really hard to prepare for a race if you don't get the practice. And we already have limited practice at a World Cup anyways. So it's like some riders made really good decisions in the tent at the top. Some teams made really good decisions in the tent at the top. But like, from when I went up, like, I got off the gondola, and by the time I had rolled from the top of the gondola to the start of the track, which is like 2 miles, I was soaked. I was standing in water in my shoes. My pants were completely soaked. I was soaked all the way through. Like, my helmet was soaked. And I'm like, get to the top to warm up, and I'm literally soaking wet. And I'm like, you got to be kidding me. Like, this sucks. Gloves, my gloves were soaked when I put them on for my race run. But if it was not France, I wouldn't even have wore gloves, because they were literally, I was wringing water out of them at the top. And I'm like, oh, dude. And then you get to the top, and you're like, what the roll, 2 minutes of rolling, normally it's like, oh yeah, just go to mud tires. And it's like 2 minutes of rolling, and I'm like, I don't know what to do for tires. And I'm like, panic. We had wet screams, we had high rollers, and we had Asa DHR. And I went to the high roller, which is still a dry tire. And I'm like, and I think because I've had limited time riding the high roller, like I haven't really practiced on it a lot. Like, I don't even know where it fit. And I've only ran wet screams for 2 runs in practice at that race. I never practiced on wet screams. We can't run them here because it's so hard pack. And I'm like, what decision do you make? You know, like, we don't.
Yeah, and you can only see the top part, which is like a flow trail.
Yeah, exactly. And I couldn't.
Like, if you wanted to walk down the side of the track, you can only see the flow trail stuff.
Yeah,
so you don't know if it's hard pack in the woods and it's running off, or if it's soaking in.
I have no idea. So I like open my phone, look at the live race, look at Pinkerton's run, and he's pulling roll-offs, and it's gnarly. So I get roll-offs ready. Like, I have essentially 20 minutes to warm up and get ready. I get roll-offs ready. I tape the vents on the top of my helmet.
We're learning.
Yeah, exactly. Right. So that takes, and then try to spin my legs for 15 minutes and not get hypothermia up there, because I'm like shaking because I'm soaking wet. And then I come out of the tent, and it's like, literally, it has poured rain. It's now done raining. There's no rain coming down. I have a visor extender on, helmet vents taped, high rollers on, and I'm like, because I thought it was still raining down, like it would be like a stream and there would be grit. And I come outside, and I'm like, oh no, what have I done? Is my only thought. I was like, ugh, because I can't make these decisions and warm up and watch the broadcast, it all at the top before a race run, and make all the right decisions. Like, I need a walkie-talkie with somebody telling me what to do. So, but it's like,
why don't you guys have? I mean, you have to have personnel at the bottom at least, like checking what everyone else is coming down with, like how the mud on their bike and body's changing.
And Jorge sent me a text message, but I was like trying to get the top of my helmet dry enough to get the tape to stick, and wasn't looking. And now my gloves are soaked. I'm trying to wring the water out of my stuff, and I stopped looking at my phone. So it's like, and Ernie's.
I do know that you do that.
Yeah, thanks. And like, that's not like, I shouldn't be looking at my phone and watching the broadcast at the top, you know? Like, in all reality, like, I should be in a moment of focus, and we need to make these decisions as a team. So it's just a lot of learning for sure, but no excuses. I just made the wrong decisions. And I did the exact opposite the last time we raced in the mud. I was like, okay, I'll leave the helmet vents open for aero, like, but because I had the roll off issue, I was like, man, I should just run perimeter seal tear offs. And I had the tear offs out, and I was like, I'm so afraid it's going to be a mistake. and then left the tear offs on my warm-up bike. And so I walked to the top of the hill and I have 5 minutes and I'm almost like told Ernie to run down and get the tear offs. But I didn't want to create panic, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So I was trying to reduce all the threat possible to get in like a flow state or like a place where you race without thinking. And that's a really hard thing to achieve as well. Like sometimes you can get in flow state, sometimes you can't. And it was really cold. Like my rotors were really cold. So I start racing and I go to hit my brakes to go into the first corner. There's no brake there because they're so cold. And it like just instantly creates a sense of threat. So like I like come out of like when I'm trying to settle in, shut my brain off to a race run to like focus, to reach a very high level of focus. When you have threat, it pulls you back out of flow state. So that's why people make a mistake and can't get back into a flow or a routine or like get back into the race run because of threat. So you're trying to limit threat altogether. So I'm sitting there and I'm like, with roll offs on, about to drop, like about to go into the starting gate, I have a bunch of threat. So it's yeah, man, it's a learning process. It's hard to win one of these things. You have to get everything right. And when the conditions are changing so fast, because I was sitting in the pit and I'm like, man, I had high rollers on and I was like, it was drying up. It was sunny. I'm like, just go to Asa DHR. And then as soon as I roll out of the pit with Asa DHR to go to the top, it starts pissing rain. I'm like, come on.
What did Ronan race with tire wise?
Wet screams.
Like,
and he crashed and got up and beat me.
I will say, which was really impressive. His crash was an efficient one.
Loris did the same. Loris never took it. And Amari never took his hands off the bars.
Yeah.
He got up without taking his hands off the bars.
Yeah.
Well, Amari did go behind me, but like clearly that was the wrong decision. Or, maybe the track gets better the more wheels have gone down it. Maybe it got worse. Who knows? But I think being on a mud tire was the right decision. I think a lot of the time I put way too much weight on a fast rolling tire.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, that was what I was thinking is I know the top is obviously flat and carrying speed is good, but it just feels like you would have had to know with how much it rained, it was going to be a slow rolling upper bit regardless of tire. Like you're going to have to be putting an effort through that.
It got wet and then packed and wet and packed throughout the weekend. So it was like going to be shiny, greasy. And I was like, well, if I'm running a wet screen, right, granted it's going to roll slow, but if I'm rolling on that top bit and I quite literally can't like ride the tire and I'm sliding everywhere because I'm on hard pack on spikes, like, am I going to crash before I even get to the bottom?
Yeah, it's one of those things that it almost matters more what other people are running because the mud tires are going to till it up more. And kind of, if everyone was riding dry tires, it probably would have been high pack or hard pack.
So it's
like the whole bit you were just slamming into ruts that were there from like they were already there. I mean, I don't know. Like I get it because it seemed like a track that you could have put more emphasis on the top and going fast and then just maintain at the bottom because it was a lot less predictable once it dropped in.
Opposite. That's what I thought too. I was like, all right, I'll just like roll fast up top. But like even the one corner before you go onto the road, it was slippery and like not having muds there, like the exit speed was like that on that next off camber, like not having muds, it was just a mess. It was just, I needed that like square knob on the side to like hold off camber.
Yeah.
I mean, and at a mud race, I will say times are not as tight, like seems like you'd be better off in general running a tire that you're going to like hook up on throughout your run versus being like, I'm going to gain half a second in rolling speed up top or, like you could definitely pedal harder. Like I was actually surprised on a lot of people's runs up top, how conserved they look, like almost like they were prepping on some of those straights for what was to come instead of, you could see other people were like hammering the pedals and visibly faster. But you're right, like the bottom bit, like the very bottom bit, like the last two sectors, there was a lot of time differences with people. And I'm sure a lot of that is vision, how tired you are after like mentally trying to work through all of the really steep bits before that. But it was interesting. I mean, Loic was the full opposite, like super fast up top, and then just kind of maintain at the bottom. But
yeah. I mean, he also had someone on track telling him to chill.
I wonder what was going on there. That was a question for later, but we can answer that now.
I know nothing about this. So
it was. Where was that? It was
towards the very bottom.
Yeah, it was like halfway through the steeps.
Yeah.
He was actually up by, I think it was like almost a second, and one of the people on track, one of their people, Specialized, told him to chill because he was up.
What do you mean?
Like, just yelled at him, told him to chill.
But we don't know if that's what he did.
No, that's what happened.
Because Amari went down and they were playing the overall game.
Yeah.
No, because he didn't know about the overall.
He didn't know about the overall, though. Yeah. But Loic didn't know about the overall. He didn't even know about that, but he just knew that, like he knew that Amari went down, or like his team knew. And yeah, in the Win, I think it was Win TV, he explained it. One of the people on track told him to chill, and then he just eased up a bit and
ran home.
Took it to the finish line, and
but what was the reason for chilling?
Because he was up, and he didn't need to win. He didn't need to win. He just needed to like beat Amari, who had gone down.
That just seems interesting because I think he.
And then
all he needed to do was
beat.
But like, all he had to do was beat him, right? Or like saying that's if that's why the guy was yelling at him is because, hey, you just have to beat him. He knows
don't crash, and
he knows
winning the overall.
He knows Amory goes down, but he's also in 9th place. So like beating Amari is not going to be that easy, right? So if homie yells at him, chill, like, and Loic in his post race, like on the broadcast, didn't even know he had like won the overall. I'm like still confused by what their thought process was and all that. Like, he could have chilled a little too hard and literally finished like 11th. It didn't seem like it would have been that tough to have done, but I don't know. I thought it was interesting. Like, I'm just curious how much of that was like what was their talk before the race about that? Like, we're gonna have homie at this section, and if he says like go or no, then how does that like affect the rest of your run? Because he made it seem so not about the overall. Like
he didn't know that he was gonna win the overall. I don't think is what he was saying. Because I think on the Win TV, like Win tells him that he won the overall, and then he's like, "Oh, I didn't know that."
It was on the broadcast, like the live broadcast. Like they're interviewing him after the race and he's like shocked. He's like, "I literally didn't know that I won the overall." Because in my mind, when I was watching the race, I was like, "Oh, they're totally telling him that he doesn't need to push because he's fine." And then he was like all confused that he won the overall. Or surprised, and I was like, I wonder what that was all about.
His concern was more about crashing and like completely blowing it almost than it
seems
was.
Like he wouldn't need to have that dude telling him something about like. I just wondered how much of it had to do with maybe like a specific line or something. I don't know, but there wasn't really much below that. I mean, he clearly, based on splits, like backed off after that. So. I don't know. It's an interesting one. I'll have to go back. I didn't watch Win TV all the way through. I don't know if I actually got to his interview or not.
Yeah. I'll listen to it right now.
We're getting the exact update of what he says.
Yeah. So his dude was like what he says is his guy on track was like, "That's very good, chill." And then he says he like cranked it down a little bit because he just wanted to get it to the finish. So
imagine knowing, like, obviously their bike's good, they have tools, they do the work. I mean, and this is all a game of they always make the right decisions because
there's so much trust in that program, like amongst all of them.
Yeah, and they do the homework. They always make the right decisions because they prepared so much over the winter, the last couple of years, like they know they always have the tool to use the tool they need. And it's really interesting to me that with them knowing they're going to be up at the first split or knowing they're going to be within touch just because of their system, like how their system works, and like Loic's speed. And I seen that line he did it in the rock garden at Andorra, and it's like they do so much timing that they know. Like it's not even a question. Is this faster? Is that faster? What can we do to win? They know. Like as long as you execute this plan, this is faster. And it's like knowing you're going to be up or knowing they're going to push for the first split super hard. And if you're saying, hey, if I'm 2 seconds up here, tell me, and I'll ride it home. Because they time so much that it has to know what pace he needs to ride, right?
Yeah, it's
crazy. It's honestly insanity to me. I mean, my racing is so far off that like I'm literally just throwing shit at the wall and seeing if it sticks. Like I don't know.
So this is the question I was gonna have for you, like kind of have for you is like how many personnel do you guys have? Like, I mean, I know you have what's his name? Is it Colin or the guy from Corey? I know he gives you lines and stuff like that.
Yeah, he helps.
But like, how many personnel do you guys have like on track? Because I think they have 3. I want to say that are always on track for Specialized.
Our team manager goes on track like usually the first practice day and some of the second practice day, but we're nowhere near. They have 3. We have our team manager when he has time, he goes up. We don't have a timing system on track. We don't have multiple lines guys. We don't have. I mean, Corey helps me where he can, but obviously his main focus is somewhere else, and he will go the extra mile if I ask him to, if I really need him to. But he's not there for us, and he's working with me. But yeah, we're not at that level.
I mean, it seems like they're the only ones at that level, and then Commensal is close behind.
Commensal is at that level, I believe.
Okay.
Because they have both Ruffin brothers, and then I mean they're really good. Those dudes really go the extra mile and really put in the work. They have staff at that to operate. I mean, Trek has Chandro. Chandro's on track all weekend. That's what Chandro does at the World Cup, I believe. So it's.
I think most teams have somebody. No, I mean, Giant has McKay. Santa Cruz has PD or probably somebody else. Like it seems like every team seems to have at least somebody on track these days.
Yeah, which Jorge does the best he can, but that's not what his job. He's there there to do. And I think that those decisions to make, the decisions that get made on race day or last practice morning or going up in between practice and the race are what is really making the difference in those teams that have so much trust and such a good communication strategy. And that's what really makes the difference in when we're talking about how tight the time gaps are right now. Like I'm doing my best, but we're just like, I'm not at that level. We don't do the homework in the off season. I
mean, it's a first year team too.
Yeah. And I mean, with even my racing, like I don't like Corey has started helping me like after Poland has helped me some, but it's like, I'm not operating at that level. Like, and I wish maybe I could, or I had that team of people to help me, but I literally don't even know who to hire. Or like, who do you hire? Like maybe I could do the timing and the work with Corey in the off season. Like I know, and even Laurie Greenland has like a riding coach that he goes and rides with, and that plans all of his like downhill riding, the things he needs to do in terms of like not fitness, but in terms of craft. The thing, like, and that guy is there at all the World Cups, watching him ride in practice, and then planning how to get him better throughout the winter. Where I'm just like, I'm riding and I'm trying to time as much as I can and understand speed, but like I'm not, like Canyon has Fabian Burrell, and then they do like the testing in the off season and like the understanding of time and like, okay, we're going to go ride today and test in the mud. Like it's very clear that some of these dudes like specifically do dry and wet testing. Like Commensal, I think for sure does. If you look at the decisions they make and the tires they've developed and things like that, you know, where like this decisions of what they're using is to me very apparent that it's just not, they're not guessing in the moment. Like they've prepared.
I think a lot of it is time. You know, like a lot of the teams you're discussing have a lot of time in the game, you know.
Just skin in the game.
Yeah. And like, not to be a dick or anything, but like the choices you made this weekend that you can chalk up as like mistakes seem like pretty obvious ones, you know? Like not going to muds to me, it seems like a fairly obvious bad choice. I know in the moment, we both, Tanner and I both raced.
Yeah.
I know exactly what you're talking about at the top where you've got 20 minutes and you do about a day's worth of decision making, it feels like, in those 20 minutes. And so the hindsight, like when you get down to the bottom, I'm sure you were like, well, that was a pretty obvious one. Like, but when you're up there, it's like, it's literally like a do or die. I don't know which one makes the most sense, but you learn from it, right? Like it's line coach or no line coach. You're putting muds on next time.
Yeah. I remember
sure.
racing snowshoe and being like, oh, I don't ride muds very often, so I'm not putting a mud in the rear. I just want to make sure I have front end traction. I don't want to be sliding on rocks. So I rode dry in the rear, mud in the front, and then I slid out, but I had good front end traction. Like, and I was like, cool. So next time we're just going mud. Like,
And it's like, man, it's challenging, dude. It's like these decisions are so hard to make, and they're like, I feel like when I leave a World Cup, I need 48 hours of like not thinking. Like by the time I got home, I was like, I literally couldn't, what do I want to do today? Couldn't decide. Like my brain was literally just mush from like making decisions all weekend long. From the moment you show up, like to the moment you leave. What line you're trying to process like between lines, bike setup, speed, execution, like making sure you eat enough food, making sure you've drank enough water, making sure you're sleeping enough, like saying no to things you need to do, saying yes to the right things you need to do. And it's like by the time I leave, I'm like a level of exhaustion and we're also constantly like getting slammed with dopamine and like adrenaline, and you almost crash, and then you got to go back up and you got to do a gnarly line, and it's just like you're analyzing every foot of the track every day, maybe twice a day. Like on qualifying day, I did 2 track walks. I went up in the morning, was up on track for 2 hours, rode practice for 2 hours, raced qualifying, and then went back up on track and walked for another 2 hours. And it's like it was literally 8 to 8 work day of making decisions and analyzing details. And it's like by the time I'm done, I'm like, there's no more. Like I have nothing left.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's gnarly. I mean, and you've given yourself credit though about your craft and where you are at, because you have had results this year. Like sure, this weekend didn't go to plan. End of the day, where were you, 18th, 19th?
18th.
I mean, still ain't the worst. I mean, you weren't 30th.
Yeah,
you actually done worse this year. So
I have done worse. So and that's been the hard part too, is it's like I feel like I'm trying to get away. Like 18th is not 30th, but I feel like literally I've done really good or I've got last. And I'm like trying, and that was this week was like, okay, I'm going to try to ride a bit more. Like I'm trying to find the pace at riding in the mud. And obviously I didn't make the right decisions in terms of grip. I underestimated what grip was going to be there. And I was like, okay, I want to get 9th, 8th, 9th, not 3rd or crash. You know, I want to get around 10th, 12th. Okay, I was 18th. I was back and I was off the bubble, like for sure, like back on the bubble. But it's like, I always, once I practice in the dry and then go to race in the wet, I always override it and give up time. And I was like, I just want to have a smooth run and not give up any time. And then I rode off the track. And I was like, well, now you've given up the time. So it's hard, dude. It's really hard. So just try to prepare better. I literally, I was on the flight home, like, where do I go ride? Where can I go ride in the mud? Like, what do I do? Do I go spend the winter in the UK? Like, what do I do? How can I get better at this?
It definitely seems like it'd be worthwhile. Go to Diffie Bike Park or wherever the heck.
But even then, it's better in the wet.
Yeah.
It's like I need like pirate shuttle trails that are like muddy. Where do you get? You have to go Canada, I think.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. I think if you just obviously like the conditions being close to what you're riding would be ideal, but all the little things like you're talking about, like when to pick which tire, like if you ride a more mix of conditions more often, it better informs when, you don't need to go ride spike conditions. If you ride conditions that lead up to that, then when the conditions are like beyond what you're used to, you're like, this is obviously a spike day or whatever it might be. But
we do this all the time, and you're like, oh, like you ride 4 days a week and it rains one day and you're like, I'll just ride DHRs today. Like, I'm not going to change.
I mean, I'm
not going to put shorties on to go do 6 runs to take them back off tomorrow.
Yeah, but even doing those 6 runs on shorties or on wet screams is like, you at least know how they're going to feel when maybe it's not even wet scream conditions, not quite those conditions. Like, I'm still going to have traction, or I'm literally not going to have any traction until it's fully a mudder.
Yeah, but it's almost like you need to have like the amount of tire changing I do in 2 weeks is like all I do is change tires, it feels like, and I still don't ride each tire enough. And it's like every time I ride I change a set of tires or 2, and it's like I'm getting very sick of changing tires.
Well,
so it's like I
if you had a
almost
wheel
need to,
set with muds on it, you wouldn't be changing them that often.
Yeah, exactly. I just need to have like 3 wheel sets and just leave wet screams on a set. And then, you know what I mean? And then just change between wheels where like I'm always changing tires. So,
or you go somewhere for 5 days and that is the goal, is you're going to like get more familiar with mud tires. You're going to run roll-offs, even if it's not raining, just to get familiar with like the feel and the weight and like all those little things. Like you're going to run your cleats higher and get used to like the extra float or whatever those things might be. You're going to pour a water bottle in your shoes and see what freaking swamp foot feels like, trench foot.
Joey Schuessler had people throwing water at him on track to practice for Champery in 2011 or whatever it was.
You got to go get some PVC pipe, bury it in your trail. Get used to some rut.
Literally. We get some PVC out there. Like, SoCal dream. But it's like that. I just need to do a mud block and try to schedule that in for next year, because it's clear that's where the weakness is in my racing program. And like, some dudes are better at it, and like some dudes have done really well this year because it's been muddy at a lot of races and they're good at riding in the mud. And I just need to accommodate for that, because like when it's consistent, I think I'm world class. But when it's inconsistent, man, I am struggling. So I need to start working on that. And that's my battle. You can't really compare your chapter to somebody else's. It's just the constant battle of trying to be your best self or be the best rider, racer, athlete, whatever that you're trying to be,
Yes. You got time. Don't stress it. You got time.
It's way cheaper than that suspension service your bike desperately needs, or less of a hassle than finally replacing those C-frame bearings you said you would swap after last winter. Slapping on some crispy, fresh Maxxis tires. Doesn't matter if you've got a month-old whip that came with some questionable rubber, or you're still rolling around on 26-inch wheels like it's 2013, Maxxis has got you covered. The tires of choice for the world's fastest racers. Whether they're sponsored by Maxxis or not, you can visit your local shop or favorite online retailer to get the same tread patterns and compounds. UK components brand Bergtech has long designed and developed components for racers and everyday riders alike. Well known as the cockpit of choice for shredders like Veronique Sandler and Josh Bryceland, they recently picked up the Trek Factory DH squad and the Yeti Cycles team. So look for Richie Rude, Mick Hanna, Loris Vergier, and Sacha Ernest all racing this season with the signature white and yellow Bergtech badge. But I do have to warn you though, as the BergTech website is honestly a euphoric dark trap of mountain bike componentry. It's hard to leave without finding something you didn't know your bike badly needed. Anodized UDH hangers and axles? Yep. Titanium frame bolts? Of course. Offset shock bushings? Add to cart. A true one-stop shop for all the finer details and contact points on your bike. Make sure to check everything out at bergtech-usa.com.
Hot off the press, Industry 9 just launched their new Hydra Grade 300 V2 aluminum wheel set built for downhill racing, bike park smashing, and e-bike ripping. The rim features i9's triple cavity hollow beadwall technology that significantly reduces pinch flats, increases impact resistance, and minimizes beadwall deformation in the event of a harsh impact. Dubbed the strongest aluminum rim Industry 9 has ever created, the Grade 300 V2 wheels are only offered in a 32 spoke count and a 27.5, 29, and mixed wheeled configuration and retail for $1,430. Check them out if you're looking for some problem-free wheels that can handle a serious beating.
Keep moving on.
Yep, keep rolling.
Alrighty, get into the Industry 9 Buzz Report, chat about some things. Let's talk about tuned mass dampers again, Dak. We saw it's either counter shock or counter cycle. Forget which one is they're actually branding as the their dampers, but that's what was on Loris's bike last weekend, and then they kind of hard soft launch this weekend with actual product. I think you can go buy soon, but it's fascinating how I guess it's just by chance that everybody at once seems to have them on their bikes now or was working on them. But I just want you to talk again, because maybe you'll say more this week, is why
You're digging me quite a big hole with the sponsors the last couple weeks.
This one though is
Aaron, I love you. I'm sorry, Aaron, I love you. Okay, I'm doing my best.
We won't even talk about tires this week.
Okay. You ever seen that movie Talladega Nights?
Heard of it?
I don't know what to do with my hands. Isn't that the story of downhill? I don't know what to do with my hands.
I agree. Sometimes, yes.
Tuned mass dampers is what you do with your hands.
Okay, elaborate. Keep going.
I'm trying to keep the hands on the bars.
I'm trying to be able to see when I'm riding really fast.
Well, why don't you put one on the front then?
I only have one.
Well, so
take it off. Put it on the front.
And I'm not here to debate where it's going. Okay, I don't. It's a battle that I'm not willing to. Listen. Yes, thank you, sir. May I have another?
I'm just armchair engineering this real quick. If you had the wrong mass in one of them, if you had it tuned incorrectly, would you create more problems with two of them than just having one that's tuned correctly?
Listen,
I mean, probably it would probably feel bad where it's bad. Like
I think the tuning
more rear,
I think the tuning of the mass damper is a very important piece of the puzzle.
I think that's why it's the first word in the name.
Yeah, that's. I'm just putting emphasis on that. Like you can have a mass damper, and if it's not tuned for the frequency in which where you're putting it, it's just mass, and it is not damping.
It seems like it'd be very difficult to actually get it correct on a World Cup downhill track. Like you would need multiple settings, like Loic and Finn's bikes. But
I think with the mass damper, you're tuning it for the frequency that you find is the least productive for what you're trying to do.
I think you're onto something there.
Yeah, like you shoot for like a window and you tune for that. You're not trying to solve everything. It's like, like if
you're solving one problem, wouldn't you be making another problem worse?
I think you would end up. I agree with that for sure. Like I don't think you'd be making anything necessarily worse. You might just have to compromise in a way. You would have to. Mm-hmm. You do. I am not the one to try to understand and dissect all of that, especially with where you guys have it, like at your axle. Did you see somebody made their own little at-home damper and attached it to like the hub of wheels, and they took like 3 different weights or tunes or whatever you want to call it. It's like a triple screen, and they just drop an individual wheel, and it shows the difference in height, but also just like the amount of deflection, bounce, whatever you want to call it, with the like different tunes of the damper. And I'm like, that's what Dakota's going for right there. Like keeping that wheel not bouncing around as much.
Mm-hmm.
Keep that baby planted.
You know, all I'm gonna say is what they're doing with the mass damper is just really making suspension companies look bad.
I'm convinced that's what's in Loic and Finn's bike, is just a big old shake weight. Yeah. What if there's just like, it's just something like that? It'd be crazy.
Do we have any popcorn?
We got tinfoil hats coming soon in B practice.
How much did you guys work on what you have, or how much of it was just like, hey, because it's an in-house Mondraker thing that's on your bike, right? Like your guys' engineers are working on it. So like, did you play with it this off season? Was Andorra just like, hey, we got this thing on your bike, and you're like figuring it out?
Yeah, we rode one day on Saturday before the race, and they're like, hey, put this thing on. I was like, oh, okay, cool. And I was like, oh, that's pretty good. that was it. That was what we did.
Because obviously your bike was designed with it in mind.
Yeah. I mean, obviously. Just a lot of calculate. I think it's just a lot of calculations. And at the end of the day, if the engineering is good, then it should work.
In theory.
Our engineer is cool. He's really awesome. As a person and as an engineer, he's really good. Apparently, he told me to put mud tires on too, but I didn't get the memo.
Huh. How is he at picking lines?
Not as good at picking lines. But I did see a photo of him on flat pedals looking like Sam Hill with them heels dropped. He's got the industry bar roll, though. So let's not talk about that.
He's got him in his lap. Oh,
he's got him up. Forward. He ain't on the RC bend, let me tell you.
Man.
He's got I give him so much of a hard time for the bar roll. I'm like, dude, what are
Chicago
you doing? He's like, and all he does is go.
So can we clone that guy and get about 3 more of him?
Yeah, we need more. He's a good dude. He's really awesome. Like, honestly, like really big, like as a personality and like a part of my race program, he's like really, really good. It's exciting. I'm excited for more time with the man. Keep him happy. He calls me Mapache, which is raccoon.
That's pretty good. Actually, pretty good nickname. We got to get him on here then. He'll just tell us everything that's going on with your guys' little.
He will not tell you anything. He will tell me I'm telling you too much.
What?
They all will. Yeah, they're like,
you're not telling me.
Not good, working, good, working. How's this? Good, working hard. We're working, good.
Do you think, well, how about this? Do you think that they're worried with, if you say too much about the benefits of what it does, that other people are going to try to steal the idea somehow? I mean, it's not like it's new, so.
I think it's not a new idea. No, not with he's pretty cool about the mass damper. Like,
yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
That he just knows,
right now.
He's like confident in what they're doing, you know, and it's like other people can do it, but if it's not good, you know, it's like he's confident in his ability to make it good. It's like other people have suspension. All suspension works in different ways. Some people's work better than others. Every brand is good. You just have to have the right settings in it. You can take anything, and you have the clickers in the wrong place, it ain't gonna work very well. So that's reality. So yeah, no, it's good. Good.
Right. When are you gonna strap one to your fork?
I don't know. Hopefully soon.
Is it against the contracts of Mondraker just to go get the one that everybody else is using and put it on the fork?
Like I said, you have to have the clickers in the right place.
No, that one you just have to bolt it onto your fork.
I think he would look at me and just shake his head. You're so dumb. No, I don't think that I don't think that's an option for me.
Okay. Yeah. But you are curious.
I have ran too.
Oh, okay.
But there's 3 riders and there's 3 mass dampers. So when there was 2 riders, I rode 2 mass dampers. But then the other rider showed up. I was really hoping the Pinky didn't like it. I was like, man, I don't know about that thing. That doesn't look. Nah, I think you should just no.
Let me test 2 of them. So just to make sure they're good for you.
It's a big change, dude. He was like, "Oh, that's really good." And I'm like, "Damn."
Yeah. Again, it's fascinating to me that just they're the hot thing right now.
I know.
Like,
I've never seen this one coming.
Yeah, kind of out of nowhere, and then boom, here we are.
But I think it's no secret that I've been liking a more damped feel. I'm really trying to have my goggle straps really tight, helmet pads tight, keep my eyes open and from shaking around. I'm doing everything I can to see where I'm going at the speed in which I ride.
You should get water bottle mounts on your bike. Nothing is more damp than water. You should have them pour water on you. You should just be soaking wet.
Yeah, that's why
it was last weekend. That's why.
Yeah.
Oh, stop! That's why our masks are so good. It's filled with water.
But do you want water or Gatorade? Do you want something a little thicker? Stay hydrated.
Stop it.
Okay, we'll move on.
Speaking about goggles, why don't you just get the Cooper Webb goggle straps, the shortened ones? Come on. Cooper Webb has shortened goggle straps.
Does he?
What?
Yeah.
Where are my shortened goggles?
Oh man.
Yeah.
Hervé's made it back to the podcast. Hervé, where are you at?
Hervé. Here, hold on. Let's get him on the phone. Let's ask them where they're at. Hervé, I would like to request shorter goggle straps. You know what he would say to me? Yeah. He'd make a formal request. That's for. He would tell me to kick rocks.
He would just say pull them tighter.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, Cooper Webb has the shortened one, so it still says like 100% all the way, but they're shorter, so
crazy.
Yeah, get you on that.
I guess there's not as much eyes on downhill World Cup than there are on Supercross, where it matters to have the logo showing.
Yeah, I don't know. No.
What do you guys think of the gold boxers on Vali, Eris, and Loris's bike?
I will say that in our world, Shimano is blue, SRAM is red, Fox is orange, Fox has Kashima.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and like brands are very sensitive. Like Shimano doesn't make anything red other than maybe their brake fluid, which I'm surprised they haven't made blue at this point. Like our sport is so like that. Like Kashima coat is, or whatever, let's call that Kashima coat, the gold lowest.
I'm calling it RockShima for the boxer.
I'm calling it KYB.
I'm actually like that better.
Showa.
Showa actually sounds better, yeah.
Like, guess what? My MX Tech Blackjack forks are Kashima. Like, the upper tubes are Kashima. Like, it's a coating, you know? Like, and in moto, like, all my DLC lowers are, like, they're black DLC lowers, and they're super high-end. My forks for my 450 were very expensive. And it's like, that they don't really own that coating, you know, like they've created a brand identity around it, but it's really interesting for me to see them make that move. Like that is like, whoa, that's like very, but I mean, edgy, you know, like people get really sensitive about that in our sport.
As a consumer, you would think that it's just another Fox fork. That's what I see. I'm like when Vali first had it, I was like, oh, Vali's on Fox. Like, and she had it at the beginning of the year. And then I was like, oh, never mind. Like, it's not a Fox fork. But I thought it was a Fox fork at first. And I'm someone who's fairly educated in the mountain bike space. And
well, especially on that team, because they can run whatever they want. So,
exactly.
Yeah, I definitely looked past it at first. I'm into it. I like it. You know, it's different.
Maybe they should have made it all red.
That would have been neat. Why not? Get the old like Marzocchi
full bloodbath out here.
That like crazy, almost like oil slick looking color
Yeah.
they have on stanchions.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever.
The Thai nitrate.
That's what it was.
Dude, Fox had that.
Mm.
The
Did they?
nickel something. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That would be sick.
Yeah. I'm just down with crazy different things for.
He's in his anodized era. He crashed at Whistler, turned 40, and all of a sudden he's in his
everything's
anodized
purple.
era.
I don't know why. I just showed up and it was all purple now. Yeah, I even bought a Thai Bolts kit. Can you believe it?
What?
Oil slick.
Yeah, oil slick and gold. Oh my god, that's
Well,
the stupidest shit. I'll say it.
Oil slick.
Yeah. All right, moving down the list here.
Hyper BMX.
BMX.
Is Asa riding a small bike? His bike looks small. He
He's
has a very
taller,
Lloyd Bruni
dude,
look.
I think it's like a 494. It's the same size as mine.
Huh.
I think he just rides really forward.
He kind of towers over his bike. I was just watching his
He's
run and I was
tall.
really impressed by like his whole body positioning again for like the 100th time. Heel flexion, incredible.
Yeah.
It's like a
Nico literally
cute
said to
angle.
me, he said, Ace has been riding his dirt bike a lot at home and wants me to make him a bigger frame so it feels more like his dirt bike. I thought that was we had to make him a bigger frame.
Well, because he's
He
been
does
riding the
look-
same size as Angel and Nico, but he's taller.
I think it's
Is he
longer.
taller?
Well, he was riding the same size for a long time.
Nico's always been a 486 guy. From
Okay.
45, 46.
Well, then he's got
like,
cups in it.
Yeah.
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 Man, so he's gonna go bigger. So should we go into the junior racing while we're at it on Asa?
Go
Can.
ahead.
Wait, no, I have one last
I'm gonna-
Berg Tech one, and then we can move on to
Okay.
racing. Well, I kind of have two. First,
Okay.
front rotor guards came back out. Those are
So
dope.
sick.
I need two.
Yeah, I'll buy
Also-
two, actually, if you start making them.
Why do you think people do that, Dakota?
To keep
Curious
the
your
brakes
thoughts. Why?
consistent temperature. Because like the same
Okay.
reason, like I said
Like to
earlier,
add
you
heat.
go to grab your brake, they're cold, and now
Mhm.
you're like, oh, and then you get thrown out of your
I'd have to-
mental space.
I'd have to go back and really do some digging, but I swear Loic was running a smaller rear rotor in his race run, and I'm thinking it was just because of that to try to heat it
He
up
had
quicker.
a cover. He had a cover in the rear.
Yeah, he's got
Mhm.
doubles. He's got
And I
three
wonder
covers.
his cover in the rear looked more like just to cover the caliper,
Yeah.
where the one in the front is like the whole rotor. Maybe it's just easier to do one in the front. I don't know. They got to get the like drop down shark tooth look like dirt bikes have for the rear rotor, like the rotor guards they do in moto. That
Well,
would be
our water bottle holder, it doesn't fit with our water bottle holder in the rear.
You could definitely 3D print some bullshit off of that thing. Okay, the last thing, and this sort of ties into our vital MTB TMZ from last week, is during Finn's run, they were cutting to shots of Tahnee, and everyone in the forums was all upset about it.
I didn't get to see
And I
Finn's
just-
run because all I seen was Tahnee.
Yeah.
And my 2 cents is that people only are making a fuss about it because it's somebody they know. But like, if they just showed somebody's partner that was just some random person not tied to the mountain bike world, nobody would care. They show team managers, nobody cares. They show mom and dad, nobody would care. It's only because like people are getting weird about the fact that they're together. I don't think we need to do it regardless, but the fuss doesn't need to be there around it. Seems pretty.
Yeah, and I think they're doing it to like build more engagement into the sport. Like the more you know about a rider, backstories, that kind of stuff, the more you're going to be emotionally tied to something. So I think it kind of does that, but yeah, it doesn't need to be the whole run. It's like showing Manders Zinc and the Rampage runs. Cam Zink's run. Like they always cut to the significant other in Rampage runs.
Yeah, but it's 3 minutes. Like I want to watch the dude rip. I don't want to see the team manager. Like maybe picture.
Like we can save this till after the run. Yeah, it can be like a cross the finish line, get a reaction kind of thing.
Yeah, that does seem more fair. It's cringy for sure. But some people were like, they couldn't believe we were going that way. And I'm like, it's not that crazy. Everybody calm down.
It's not that crazy. We got 30 people finals nowadays. So like, can do anything.
Yeah. Come on. We're going to have permanent numbers next year. Everybody calm down.
Yeah.
Hold on. We got to do, I know you're running out of time, Tanner. So we'll move on quickly, but I got to give our Maxis Make or Break section plug. But we've talked a lot about the track. Dak, we've been doing this throughout now where you talk about your race run a bit more, but you talked a lot about maybe your misses on your setup and everything. What point in your run did you know your back was against the wall? Was it like that second corner you said where you're like, oh no, I should have had muds. My brakes aren't heated up, whatever. And then how do you try to bounce back from that as you got further down? You throw the towel in? What happened?
No, I had the towel over my eyes, meaning the goggle foam was over my eyes in every corner. Every corner I hit, my goggles were going into my eyes. You're hot. 100% goggles are great. I really love them. Just maybe don't attach a kilo to the front of your helmet and then expect to be able to still see where you're going, pulling 5 Gs. 3 Gs.
Sounds like user error.
Many. It was user error. Goggles are great.
I mean, Reece got second. He had the same roll-offs.
It's weird. It worked great for him. I don't know. No, it was too much weight on the front of the helmet for me was the biggest thing. But when my back was against the wall, I went to drag brake going into that corner, and I was like, oh no. And then when I dropped in kind of after the bridge, I was like, this ain't going too good. And then I continued to go into the steep chute, and I was like, I cannot slow down. And then I couldn't turn, and I was like, I just kind of towards the bottom where I needed to have confidence. I felt like I didn't have the side knob I needed to change direction and hold off camber, so I just kept getting kind of pulled low. And no excuses, man. As you can see, the corner that I rode off the track in, I was going too fast into and couldn't make the corner. So it's overall, the knob is good on the high roller, but it's when you need set up to open the corner, I just didn't have the support I needed to hold those off cambers to carry speed into the crucial sections. So, I thought I was doing fine, and then I just was off the pace. It's not like I was really in the run going, this sucks. It was okay, manage. And then my goggles started coming down into my eyes, and I was like, this is ridiculous. Pushing out my nose, I couldn't breathe because they were pushing down on my nose. And I'm like, just get me to the bottom. And then I was planning on sitting down and pushing my helmet up on that straightaway, but I went off the track before I even got there. So it was just a variety of factors where I didn't think it was going to be super bad until I made that one big mistake. And then it was but it was kind of bad the whole way. So I needed that 10% more grip everywhere, I think. Is what it is, dude. Where was the Maxis Make or Break section when I went out of the tent at the top? Not on mud tires. That was the Maxis Make or Break section, was pushing to the finish line, starting line.
I like that. Yeah, that seems fair.
And usually I feel like a broken record of just I didn't make the right decisions all year. And it's the reality is the right decision is really hard to make. And the majority of the time I make the wrong decision. So I feel a bit of I'm making excuses or a broken record. I'll be the first one to tell you that I wasn't good enough and I need to find a way to be better in these conditions. But also the decisions I made due to the preparation that I didn't do are causing an effect on my results list.
Oh, yep.
Well,
And you'll have
there's
that.
always next time. Yeah.
You'll have
Hey,
that.
if it rains at Monson, at least you know it's pretty good in the rain there. So
Yeah.
no
Yeah.
worries for weather.
Yeah. You
They
can.
use those dry tires.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
the High
you
Roller
can't-
3 is not a dry. It's not a mud tire. So like,
No.
it's no
it's
shame
not.
on the tire that it didn't work in the conditions it's not definitely made for.
Yeah.
So there's a
There's,
reason they make 2 mud tires as well.
You can't rely on the work you didn't do, buddy.
Okay, we'll keep moving on. I think we've heard enough about your race day. We'll chat about some other people's races. Alrighty. Junior women. Reece van Leuven, first place. Her 5th win as a junior. Really pulled back some time at the bottom. Cool to see her back up winning Worlds last weekend. We had Heather Wilson in 2nd. She crashed at Worlds, and then it sounds like she crashed again in qualifying this weekend. And so kind of last minute side of the race, and I'm sure she's hyped she did. Definitely paid off. 3rd place was Sacha Ernest. Super fast up top, kind of lost it towards the middle, but she needs to get a win. Like, she's had so many podiums in her junior career, and seems like that win has just been eluding her. It's coming soon. So and then we had Bella Burchell in 4th, who I believe it's her first World Cup. Another young, fast Kiwi coming up, so that's cool to see. And then 5th, we had, oh gosh, Lise Benoit. I'm going to take French this offseason, everybody, I promise. Another name who not always super used to seeing up there, but that was cool to see. Kind of other stands out. Ellie Holzbosch in 6th, who's 2nd in qualifying, then crashed in final. Still had really good splits, but she loses the overall with that. And then Ellis Fegby, who's been on a tear this season. She was on a top 5 qualifying run and then had a big crash and ended up not racing, but sounds like she'll be back for MSA. Overall, going into the last round of the year, Eris is back in the lead with 290 points. Ellie drops from 1st to 3rd. She's now 20 points back. Heather Wilson's up from 3rd to 2nd. She's only 15 points back. Sacha Ernest in 4th, 60 points back. And then Ellis Fegby is still in 5th, but she's 160 points back. So, 20 points between the top 3. Could kind of go any way. You never know. I mean, there's not a whole lot of points up for grabs in the junior field, but all it would take is somebody having something happen, and it could change up a little bit. Alrighty, junior men. Old Max Allren freaking came to play this weekend. 3rd win of the season. Actually been on every podium this year, except for when he had that. I think it was him who had like the over the bars kind of crash and pull, and it was pretty gnarly.
Yeah.
But he goes
was on the podium.
That's right. Yeah, Till, who give a shout out to him real quick. I think he was like 6th or 7th or something this weekend. Had a
7th,
pretty good run. Yep, had a pretty good weekend. Yeah, Max definitely had a good weekend when it mattered. Like, goes from 23 points down to 33 points up on Asa. Asa, unfortunately, having that slam. Oh, the sun is coming through real heavy in my garage right now. Having that slam in that corner, which looked brutal. Like, I'm glad he's okay, but like at first I'm like, oh God, he just broke his collarbone. Like, he went so hard onto his shoulder. But still got up, seemed okay. He's like a child, so you know they're real flexible.
Made of rubber.
Yeah, rubber kids these days. But yeah, Max's run was honestly really impressive. Like, it's a shame we didn't get to see elite men in dry conditions to see how his time would have stacked up, because he was hauling ass. His scrub at the bottom, oh, chef's kiss. It was next level. I was like, damn, this kid's way sicker looking on a bike than I like kind of have given him credit throughout the year. Like, young Amory look.
Dude, we've talked about it. He's like the mix of like Thomas's stack, and he's like more of the IC style than of the muck off style Comsol teams.
He's sort of, I feel like he's sort of like flirting that line though, where like his back's getting lower and flatter, and he's you know, the hips are going back, the elbows are coming up.
Maybe.
You know, we saw D Mapes do a fast transformation from last year to this year. But he also had tinted lenses on, like dark lenses. I don't know, it's like really stood out in his run. I was like, it's been weather all week. Everyone else has got clear lenses. Homie's straight Darth Vader coming down the hill. It was hard. It was very hard. Yeah, that was cool to see. Like, as much as I like going into MSA, I want Asa to take the overall so badly, like very fingers crossed. But yeah, credit where credit's due. Max had a really impressive weekend. Moving on down the list, big weekend for New Zealand. You got Tyler Waite in second, Luke Wayman in third. That was cool to see, especially Tyler. Like, so much hype in the off season, and then getting hurt right before the year kicks off or at the first race. Coming back, doing well at Worlds, and then doing well again this weekend.
Putting Yeti on a World Cup podium for the first time since Richie Rude won Worlds. Come on.
Pretty tight. Yeah, it's good to see. And it's funny because Yeti, kind of like Commensal Muck-Off, they stay consistent with how their riders look on their bikes. Like, he's pretty built kid, kind of towers over his bike, like very Richie Smash in him, you know? It's in the DNA. I don't know if the bike comes with that, or they like only pick riders that match that, or what. So that was cool. I was hyped to see that. Luke Wayman freaking Tommy Hawking through the finish line into third. That was good. That was a brutal slam. And maybe I care too much about what people think about me, but just that'd be so disheartening to eat shit in front of everybody at the finish line and then try to, like, he limped off, and I think he had that moment to be like, I'm gonna play it off like this totally didn't hurt, and then he immediately is like, no, that definitely hurt. We'll go ahead and lay down here in the corner. Yeah, and that was, I have written down, that was the second best result of this year, and it moves him up to third in the overall, which is pretty cool. Moving down the list, old Chris Hauser in fourth, and then Raphael Pelletier in fifth. So cool for Chris, like the old Hooser. I'm stoked to see that.
I think it's cool to see with him. He's like kind of did it, rode pretty out of control, won a World Cup, and got hurt. And now it's like his runs don't look, I mean, he got a little bucked on the last jump, but his runs don't look out of control like they used to. Like, he's really finding form, like, and he was like crashing at every race, and now it's like his runs are getting better, getting faster, and building in like a much more sustainable manner. So I'm pretty excited for Chris. Like, I think, yeah, of course he wants to be fighting for wins, but the reality is, like, he did it, had a bunch of huge crashes, got hurt, and now he's like finding his way.
Yeah, it is sick. Like, it'd be cool to see when he goes to elites. I could see him being one of those riders that gets out of juniors and builds real heavy, where I think a lot of times you have people that are real successful in juniors and then almost kind of get a little work the first year in elites. But he's somebody who, like you're talking about, like, he's on like that building program, just building experience, and just takes that right into elites, and it won't feel like a harsh change. It's kind of be what the program he's been on. Gavin Tomlinson in sixth, best result for the American. Really cool. I was really hyped to see that. Like, he's been on a good stint this back half, well, from a few like off-season races in the US, but then definitely Worlds, and then this round.
He's
cool to see him in MSA.
He's another one that's just kind of been building, like you're saying, like, he had a lot of wild runs. He had a goggleless run, a visorless run. He's had some runs.
There's not a whole lot left to forget.
Yeah.
Forget the gloves next time. Maybe the jersey, just chest protector, little digs in them,
Spikes.
That'll be our next bounty right there.
Spikes.
No more shorts bounty. Yeah. It'll be the Deegan signature.
Sure, you do. That's right.
Yeah, Dane Jewett had rode off track. He was on like a pretty good run.
That was
a bummer to see, since he's kind of been right around the top 3 of overall whole season.
Yep. But that was actually something I had for the Industry Buzz report, was just, when are we going to change that stupid rule that you have to enter where you exit? Him doing what he did at the bottom looked so dumb. Like, it just made hit, like it made that moment look ridiculous if you don't understand it. Like he totally checks up, loses time. He would have finished better had he not ran up and did that little song and dance to go back in where he exited. But like, who gives a shit? You know what I mean? Like he made a mistake, he lost it, and then he has to get off and run up. And I actually watched it back. He technically did not, where he exited, like the pole he went around, when he ran up, he did not do that in reverse. And they didn't DQ. Were you at UCI? Don't DQ him, but like, the hell's up with these?
Well, he
rules
just had to
not
go back
applying
up to
equally
where
all
he
the time,
was,
you know?
I think.
Yeah.
I don't think it
Stupid.
matters how you get there. You just have to get there.
Okay, that was
back where you
rants.
entered.
Moving on. Milan Falque rode the freaking bunking Bronco down the hill. He would have. He actually is still getting back on track from where he exited. Oh my God. Who else? It was him and that Rico Mayabo. They both had in that open bit, just like all of a sudden they like hit the landmine and just blew off the trail. Like catch nets, not helping.
Yeah. No.
Dude. They were savage crashes. I was like, I think they're both okay, it appeared. I mean, I'm sure they're banged up, but they lasted so long. They're such long crashes. And then they played them back in extra slow-mo. I was like, man, come on, maybe we don't need that, you know? Do him some justice
Insult
here.
to injury.
Yeah. What else? Bodie Burt, 12th in qualifying, and then was 8th at the first split, and then had a pretty gnarly slam in the kind of right where it drops and it gets steep. That was also a bummer. I hope he's okay. And then George Madley qualified second, his best result, I think, ever for juniors, and then was top 10 all the way down. And then he had a big crash at the bottom where like looked like he was kind of getting tired, and then just went to hit that little fadeaway before the last corner drop and just see ya. Just freaking fully let her go. A lot of crashes in juniors.
Yeah. How about that last jump? So was there like a soft spot in there, or did you just have a yeet curb at the end of?
I think the corner was just super chewed up.
Yeah.
It was soft. Like they had built it like the week before, and then it just poured rain.
Okay.
Well, like the whole first day, I think 2 people hit it because it was just sketchy.
Surprised they didn't just get rid of the jump at that point.
Yeah. To make it a roller.
Make a 6 scrub roller right into like pick your rut, you know?
That would be really sick.
That would be pretty neat. We need more scrub rollers. That scrub roller a little bit further up on that track is where you like scrub into just like a rough straightaway is so cool looking. Yeah. Like really sick. I bet it looked like it'd be really fun to ride as well.
Yeah. Dude, there was also the other, that Rico dude, his crash. Dude, just like you just said, it looks so brutal. He just hands gone.
Yeah, decided he didn't need them when he definitely needed them.
Yeah. Like, these are crashes that just looked like maybe we just cut junior racing at Loudenvielle and we just have this sick elite racing.
I mean, they did it last year. They cut it.
That was like the first time they would have rode it in the dry was in their race run. Practice day and race run.
That is a really good point.
Because it was on race day in the morning, it was super slippery because it had like been dewy. So it was like greasy in the morning. So then they went up, the only time they would have rode the track would have been in the dry is in the race room. And I think that's why we've seen so many crashes.
Yep, I would probably agree. It's them going fast and not know what to do with their hands.
Gnarly. It does make Max's run even more impressive knowing that. Like he just predicted and sent it and held on to it and didn't have that many moments really at all that I can think back on. Kept it nice and tidy, you know. Okay, overall, going in MSA for junior men, Max has taken the lead, like I mentioned. He's up 33 points ahead of Asa. Luke Wayman is back into third, 21 points back on Asa. Dane Jewett drops back to fourth from third, 22 points back on Luke. And then Milan Falque remains in fifth, 57 points back on Dane. So yeah, good battle there between Luke and Dane for kind of that third spot, and then Max and Asa for first and second. So gonna be interesting. Curious how it comes out, how it plays. I wasn't really gonna do like fantasy bets or anything like that. We didn't really pick anybody for junior women, but I just really want Asa to take it home for everybody. Yeah. Somebody's messed with my trash cans outside. All right, continuing to move on. Elite women, first place, Myriam Nicole. So rad to see. Like, I think we kind of all knew that was coming after how much she's been building this year, and then was really fast in Andorra at Worlds. But this is her first win after missing all of 2023 with her concussion since Val d'Isole 2 years ago. So it's pretty epic. Super cool to see. Yeah, I mean, had a good run. Really kind of won it towards the bottom, it seemed. Like her splits were really fast at the bottom. Second place, Vali wraps up the overall for second in a row. 10 World Cup wins, tied with Myriam, if I added that up right. I think Rachel has like almost 40, just as a reference. So
I think it's like 45 or something.
I just went on Roots and Rain and counted, so there might be some discrepancies in that. She's got way more than everybody else. She's also been racing longer, so got to remember Valley's 23, I believe, like very fresh into her career. She's on a tear, like insane. Like she, it's just so cool to have somebody like her she's like raising, I think, everybody else's intensity and like ability to just send it in the women's field because she is so aggressive. And I would say the asterisks on her winning the overall and this weekend was for sure Tahnee having to come down in the rain. Like Tahnee has been really fast this year and proven she's back on form, and it sounded like she was gearing up to really make a push for the win this weekend. And then sucks to see it kind of go that way. Like, is the way it goes. I think in her Win TV, she was basically saying that. She's like, it's down to racing, you know? Like, the hell are you going to do? It does that kind of all the time.
Yep. She still won most of the time. Yeah. She was still fastest the first split in finals.
Yep. Which I would guess that up there, the rain wasn't really as much of a factor. And the second it got steeper, it was just so greasy. Some of the shots of her towards the bottom, I'm like, oh, it is really raining. It's coming down. Yeah. It's going to rain.
But sick to see Phoebe Gale get her first podium, I believe. At least first on a step.
Totally. Yeah, that's definitely her best result. She's one of those riders that is kind of on the bubble, like outside that leading pack of women that are fighting for podiums. Like, you know, she can be right there. It's just kind of making that happen. So that was rad to see. She was 7th in MSA last year, so it'll be cool to see her carry that momentum into a place that she's done decent at. Nina Hoffman in 4th. Been a rough year for the Hoff.
Yep.
Really rough year. Like, I think she was admittingly okay with 4th place just from all the injuries she's had to work through. And I mean, really, since the beginning of the year, I mean, she was fast at the start of the year. And then ever since that podium at Poland, and then she dislocated her elbow and then got like a concussion at Canadian Open. I think there might have been another injury in there somewhere. Like, been a fight back for sure for her, which is a bummer because she really hasn't been in the discussion too much. So hopefully like this round plus a little bit of time off and US Open and MSA, you know, finishes off the year strong. Elise Empey in 7th, first finals as for the young Australian. And after her 9th at Worlds, pretty cool to see, like, it's coming out swinging again. Like, I was looking at her Roots and Rain, something has to have changed because she's like 10 positions faster than she was in the past. So that's pretty dope. I'm always curious when people like figure it out. Yeah. All of a sudden the pieces fall in place and then you're just going way faster. Maybe she has 2 mass dampers.
I think it was maybe Mojo's and spending some time in Whistler.
That has been proven to significantly help your racecraft. You go underground for a bit, in Whistler. Yeah.
Come back out of the cave, and you're a new person.
It's like Batman.
That daylight just hits different.
Yeah.
Alrighty, well, we'll keep moving along here. Current overall going into the last round, Vali has obviously locked down first place. Tahnee's in second, so everyone's chasing her now. She has 1,321 points. Myriam Nicole is in third. She's 140 points back. Myriam's in fourth. She is 246 points back on Tahnee. Then Nina is in fifth, basically 400 points back on Tahnee. So I think it's really Myriam Nicole and Tahnee that are going to be potentially dicing it up for that second spot, but I think odds are it'll sort of fall with where it is right now. Q, moving on. Do you guys want to do predictions real quick for top 3 MSA?
For all of them?
For women? We'll just do
women?
just elite women.
I'm gonna go Myriam, and then Tahnee, and then Vali.
I like that. I'll go Vali, Myriam, Tahnee. And that's just based on Myriam Nicole was fast there last year. So was Nina, but I don't know if Nina's in the not like in shape, but just in like racing shape for how brutal MSA is.
Yeah.
And Dakota's logged off.
I'm saying Vali in the third position because she is taking a vacation right now. So
it's true.
Who's on vacation?
I think Loic is as well.
Vali. Yeah, your overall winners, they're on vacation. They just got a sick bonus. Hit the vacay mode.
They got Airbnbs for buying.
Yeah.
They got monies. I think it's going to be Myriam, Vali, Tahnee. I think that's my take. I think Myriam will be really good in those conditions. What do you mean? I'm here.
I don't see you. Oh wait, now I see you.
Oh, that's really
maybe
weird.
My internet connection's bad today. I think we're dipping and diving a bit.
I think you are too.
You've kind of you're playing dodgeball with us.
Because like right now, Tanner, you don't have an image for me.
Yeah, it's on you, brother.
Yeah.
You wanna?
You can dodge a wrench. You can dodge a ball.
You can't dodge the internet.
The internet will dodge you.
Exactly.
Yeah. Oh God, I don't know why. Because maybe if anybody's actually made it this far, they've probably just been listening to us scatting along the way, cutting in and out.
Dude,
all
just
right,
jump in
elite
right
men.
to Benny Cool.
Yeah, freaking Benny on the block. Second World Cup win. Should have been his third because he should have won here last year. So it's cool to see him come back and put the shit together. Dude, homie was hauling. Like, he had some gnarly conditions. And
he was hooking.
He had the homie hauler hooking. Yeah.
Dude, I think there was only 3 people to hit the gap. The chicken nugget step down, and they were 1-2, and Lockie. I think they might have been the only 3 to hit the gap. Might have been another person in there, but
that was it. That's where he won the race.
Yeah, exactly. Right there. Yeah.
You heard it here first.
Yeah, he wasn't just fast everywhere.
Cool to see.
Hot take. I rolled it, so there's that.
Yeah,
I hit it last year and then rolled it this year.
Did you ever hit it this year?
No, nope.
It was so gnarly.
It was gnarly. It looked really gnarly. It was gnarly because you doubled it, and then there was like an up face right after. So if you did get pulled a little bit low, you were going for a ride, as you can see on Vidal's post. Sketchy.
Yeah, and there's a little tiny shelf that you need to land on to hold the line, like where old Benny Cool just went straight in it.
Yeah,
also,
dude, a lot of the
I was gonna say Reece Wilson is a little chicken nugget. Well, depth.
Did you? Yeah, he like kind of got like a weird pull, and then was a little like turned in the air. It looked like, but still made it work.
Yeah,
Impressive.
that was pretty sick.
Yeah. I mean, him in second was super rad after all the things he's worked through the last couple of years, and I mean, again, proving that muddy wet conditions are his forte. But
Yeah,
once he like visibly started to go faster once he got to the lower half of the track, like all up
Mhm.
top, it kind of looked like he was just working into it. We're getting there, and then it started getting steep and just unleashed. So
yeah,
that was sick.
That's
Stoked for him.
when old Rocco really just came alive, and
Yeah.
he was. Dude, his scrub also over the roller in the woods, so sick. Like
Mm-hmm.
he is, I think, one of the top bike handlers out there. If you want to know how to ride a bike, yeah,
He's good at it.
Watch Rocco.
When it's wet,
He is
he's
very good.
unbelievable.
Yeah, I feel like he just like he can. I feel like he can really just he can feel everything through his toes and through his feet. Like he does like the smallest little move of his feet, and it's like he has traction. He doesn't have traction. Like wax
All the
on, wax
toes.
off. But it's like, yeah, he just like barely moves his hips and his feet, and then he's just like, whoop, whoop, whoop.
I've watched it. I followed him in Schladming and was like, dude, he was doing things that I was like just sliding into stuff, and I'm like, he's really good. I was like, wow, he's really good. Super good.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's that's the cool part about when tracks are like they were this weekend and they're gnarly and then they're wet. Like the names that kind of rise back up in the ranks, or like in the result sheet. Like, I mean, Reece being one, Andres Cole in third. He has been rebuilding a bit towards like the end of the season. He's had actually a really good year overall, but he was, I think, second at Leger. Yeah. And that was another muddy, wet race. But like, I mean, Ronan in fifth, Ocean in sixth. Even like Danny Hart in 12th with the crash was really impressive. Remy Tiron in seventh, Thomas Stack in eighth. Like kind of all of those sort of names where, yeah, they're fast, yeah, they're up there, but they're not phased when it gets gnarly like this.
Yeah. Thompson Stack, just so cool, just so sick on a bike.
Always feel good story.
His run, like you just kind of forget that he's actually a World Cup racer because you like see the videos and stuff, and you're like, yeah, there's like he rides the bike cool and stuff, but like, is he that fast? And then see like his result here at Val d'Isole, and you're like, oh, yep, he checks out. He warrants all the respect he gets. Like,
yep, yeah, right. Shows up, confirmed fast. Let's see what else. Kind of scrolling through result sheet from that. Finn had a pretty tough weekend, crashing twice. Definitely, I mean, I would say him and kind of yourself, Dak, from a point standpoint, was a little rough. Like, yeah, I mean, you are in sixth, and you're in seventh.
Mm-hmm. Unfortunately.
Sure?
Yeah.
I think Ronan moved up.
You're in
Ronan's
seventh.
in third. Yeah.
You're in seventh, but you're only 39 points off of Kolb in fifth.
It's a lot of points.
What's that?
It's a lot of points. Especially because we won't have any quality points at Munson Inn.
Oh yeah.
Is it double points?
No, it's just no quality. So it's 250 for a win, but so it's the same amount.
Do you still get points in semifinals?
No, I don't think so.
So it's just finals.
It's all finals, yeah.
Yep. So I got a hook. You know what? I have nothing to lose now. I'm out of my goals. My goal is not mine to lose. My goal is to gain if I can just go win.
That's right.
Go there and hook. Ride my dirt bike for a week, hang out, go to my US Open, and then try to hook.
Yep. Love to hear it.
Feel good story.
Sounds like a pretty good plan to me.
Yeah.
Shout out AG, first race back. Picked an awfully brutal one to come back to, but made it into the big show.
He was
held
riding
down
really
last
good,
place
too.
with the crashes he had. Yeah, he had a tough go. I felt pretty
Crashes.
bad. And then they get him in the booth afterwards, and then at the end of the race, they're like showing the results, and he's like, "And there I am in last place."
DFL.
Yeah, someone's got to do it. I guess we mentioned Ronan crashing and getting on the podium, but we got to hit him a shout out too.
Kirk McDowell. Kirk McDowell.
Yes.
Come on.
Where was he at?
25th.
Hooking.
Dude. Yeah.
We had a lot of high number plates this weekend, which was pretty dope to see. Like I think I wrote it down. Like we had Dom Platt with the 88 plate number, got 16th. Mateo Iniguez in 19th with a 101 plate, and David Capello in 20th with a 120 plate. Crazy. Very impressive.
Dude, yeah. And then Ollie Zwar, Kirk McDowell, Taylor Vernon, AG, triple plate.
Crazy. Kind of interesting one. Like that's the way it went. I should have gone through and wrote down the list of names that didn't make it into finals with them not doing semis, just going straight off, or not doing qualifying, doing straight semis. Last name I wanted to.
Oh, go on. I was gonna say, I wonder if this is the first time Aaron's ever had a triple digit. Because even when his first World Cup, when he got 10th, it was at MSA, so there might not have been that many people.
That's a great question. Probably could figure that out. It's definitely up there. I would say it's his top 3 highest plates, if it's not the top.
Yeah.
The last name I was going to mention was Laurie Greenland in 11th. Like he's had a real gnarly season, it sounds like. I'd love to try to find the time to do like a Q&A with him and figure out what the heck has actually been going on with him. But I had a good round at Worlds, and then come back, get his best result this season with an 11th. I thought was sick to see. Like I'm a big fan of his riding style. Yeah, I think that's kind of it. Oh, the other one was Amari in 10th. Like fast up top, crashed in his qualifying, and then qualified second, fast in his race run, then crashed. But kind of a bummer to see him go down, because the battle for the overall probably would have kept going into MSA had he not gone down. And now with Loic's wrapped it up, but congrats to him. But I still think old Pirion's going to come out and really be swinging to MSA. Like he's been blowing me away how fast he is this year. The last 2 weekends have been, it's kind of just like in the shadows a bit more, even though he still has been really fast. So, alrighty. Anything else? We're good. Alrighty.
Predictions.
Overall, we'll do overall real quick. All right, so everybody's chasing Amari at this point. He has 1,302 points. Ronan is in third behind him, 175 points back. Finn is now in fourth, but he's only 7 points back on Ronan, so definitely really tight between them two. And then got on the Colbin fifth, 51 points back on Finn. Troy's in sixth. I'm not sure if he'll be at MSA after just having his first child, so that'll be interesting. He's only 39 points back on. Oh wait, you're 39 points back on Kolb. I don't know how far back you are in Troy, Dakota, but yeah, he's got to go out and win, and it'll all be fine. Super easy. It's actually like probably the easiest race prep you've had all year. You got to go out and
go
win
and ride as fast as you can, and you'll get everything you want in the world.
You've got to feel a level of confidence going to a place like that you've raced a lot, you've done well at. I mean, last year is when you crashed and still got sixth, so it's gonna be good.
Okay,
you don't have to worry about it raining, because if it rains, it's still okay. So for the most part,
let's go Hook.
It'll be good. Go Hook. Predictions? I didn't write anything down, but I'll say we got Dak Amari, Ben. It's really hard to pick 3.
All right. I'm gonna go. I'm pulling this one out. Okay. AG with the win. Dak second.
Straight to retiring afterwards.
Yep. Amory third.
That's a pretty
AG,
good prediction.
him, and who else?
Amari.
Wait, did you have a third person?
Yeah, Amari. However you say his name.
Wait, what
He's
was
the third.
first? What was second? I think you cut out in your second. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I assume so.
Yeah, come on.
I don't know if what I hear is like the master recording, like people will hear what I hear. So I'm like, let me just make sure it's on the record. If you calling out some crazy name and they freaking come out and win. Dak, who do you think could be fast this weekend?
It's gonna be me, Colby, and Troy.
Troy's coming back. So we heard it here first. Dak just said Troy's coming back.
I'm ready to go to war.
Wait. Are you saying that's who's going to be on the podium, or that's all who you care about?
Babe Ruth,
I'm winning.
let's go.
I'm winning. Colb's getting second, and Troy's going to be in third. And that's what's going to happen.
I like this.
I love this. I'm trying to look at Troy right now
Hot
to see
take,
if he'll be
you heard
back,
it
but
here
he
first.
isn't posted.
I think he is going to.
I don't know. I don't know if Troy.
It is a
he
lot
is.
shorter flight to North America than it is to Europe. And it'll have been 2 months. Yeah, since his daughter was
It
born.
sounds like a hard one to come back from.
But
A lot of time off, but I'm in for it. He's fast there. I still want Dak to be the head of them, but
Hey.
okay.
Watch
All
it.
right.
Moving on.
Berg Tech.
Berg Tech, Labor of Love Award. I got a few names written down. Have you guys looked
I
at
like
it?
the
Do you
last
have a
one.
say?
I think the last one should get it. I think it would be sick. She's done really good.
the last one.
What about the
Justin,
middle
last
one?
Who's the middle one? I looked
American.
earlier. Yeah, that also would be pretty cool.
Yeah.
I don't know. What do you say, Tanner?
I like the middle one just because they have been at every round and grinding, getting better and better.
But not a privateer.
Yeah, he's a privateer.
More or less, yes.
Yeah.
Oh man,
I
that's a tough one.
I think it's one of those privateer. Yeah.
Efforts.
Yeah.
Whatever you want to call those teams.
Mhm.
Yeah. I don't think we're making money. That's a private
Yeah.
team. You can get some free shit, but I don't think I think you're in the red at the end of the year. All right, I'll pull executive decision here. We'll go Gavin Tomlinson, 6th place. Can come.
Let's
I like
go.
But
Yeah.
Deserved.
at least
Deserved.
MP in 7th elite women, a big shout out. And
Mhm.
I like that because I like when we have races coming up because we can keep those names in there. If you back it up, it's like you deserve this times 2 now. But I'm not going to give you $400. I'm sorry.
Elise needs to go hook. I just think we need to keep an eye on how competitive this women's field is at the moment. It's really gnarly. So hopefully, if she can hook it up, we can hook her up at Mount St. Anne.
Yeah.
I like that. And somebody I did forget is that Anna Newkirk is sitting 6th in the overall, ahead of some names that are on very factory programs. So she had a crash this weekend and didn't race, but it'll be really cool to hopefully see her like send the season home at the last round.
Also on the buzz here, when we're just wrapping this thing up, someone signed a 4-year contract. So, yeah.
Did they?
Yeah.
What do you mean?
Someone's
4 years.
a 4-year contract.
Where did you hear this?
Old George from Crank Brothers posted it on his like notes from the weekend.
That could be anything though. That could be Dak signing a 4-year freaking damper deal.
With John Deere.
John Deere.
4-year on the deer. Yeah, I'm just saying though, 4-year contract is almost unheard of in our sport. It's usually 2
It
or
seems
3.
a bit unnecessary.
So,
Yeah.
Maybe they got big plans for year 3.
If you don't get along with somebody on that team, that's a long time. That's
true.
crazy.
Yeah.
It's
signing 4
risky
years
from
and ended
both.
up
I'm
on
just
your
saying,
team, Dak.
my team's great.
No,
Yeah.
I mean like being like I don't know if I could do 4 years hanging out with you. We've almost done that on this podcast.
That's also difficult. I would agree. Can you imagine being my teammate for 4 years? Lord help.
Yeah.
Man, I don't know who that would be. Well, let us know in the comments or however that works,
A lot of people's
He's got 4
contracts are up
years in
this
him.
year. So a lot of the COVID contracts are ending this year. A lot of people on 1 years this year. So it'll be exciting to see what happens at the last round because I think a lot of people will be going for it.
Hooking.
You're
Yeah,
only as good as your last
There
race,
is-
according to the marketing people.
it's true. Yeah, the silly season is definitely starting to ramp up. We'll have to do an off-season podcast at some point about all of it because those are entertaining. And there's going to be changes next year. There'll be a lot of names in a weird in-between zone. So a lot of teams going away. So yeah, it'll be interesting.
Yeah.
All right. That's it. We got MSA in 2 weeks. Got the US Open in between. Should be good closing bit to the year. Sounds like a lot of people are going to the US Open, which I'm really stoked to hear. Keep building hype in North America. Anybody who is on the East Coast and is in the area, you should definitely go. Even if you're not going to race, you should go race, but you should go spectate. Go meet your heroes.
Yeah. Be
Mountain
really
bike-
cool to
mountain bike
see
races are cool.
Jason Schroeder there covering the race live for Vital. It's gonna be awesome. I can't wait.
I'm going to Facebook Live all weekend.
Oh.
All
Yep.
to do is become a videographer and more of a photographer. Just add that to my to-do list of whatever my job is, whatever this job is I do. Yeah, whatever. I would like to be there. I was going to try to make it happen and it wasn't. Yeah. I don't really know what I would do if I even went. I don't know what I would do, Like, not that I don't think there's things I could do, but I would need someone to go there with me to do video of me covering the race, or I'm like, I don't have a
it just
video
happens
camera.
that I know
I mean-
a videographer that could come, Tanner.
Yeah.
You could just race.
Yeah, you could
Yeah,
just come and race.
I mean, that's way different than me trying to cover it, but I could race. I actually have
just
no
come and
interest
race.
in racing.
Actually save your East Coast trip for when you come visit me in the off season.
It's happening this
Yeah.
year. We've said it for the last 3 years, but it's happening this year.
I know.
I just
know.
bought another pit bike, so I have 3 mid sizes now. So I'm currently at 4 pit bikes. So I'm prepped and ready for the boys to come. I bought an extra one, so there would be 3 here when you guys came. We could all ride together.
All right. I'll bring my work boots.
Yeah, get my graphics on. I want my name on it.
Industry race.
Yeah, there we go. We'll do the industry race at your place. Perfect.
Yeah.
Can't wait.
All righty. Goodbye, everybody. Thank you for listening. Thank you, Maxis. Thank you, BergTech. Thank you, Industry 9. We will see you in like 3 weeks or something. Peace.